Race 6 of the BMW IBSF two-man bobsleigh World Cup. We're in sunny St. Moritz in the Engadine Valley, high in the Swiss Alps. And for over 125 years, they've been sliding down to the village in Celerina on the only natural track remaining on the planet. Hello, everybody. Welcome to sunny St. Moritz. I'm Martin Haven. Alongside me, Greg West. And Greg, after our first heat, we have got some familiar names in the fray.
Yeah, if you've watched any race this year or in the past couple of years, you could probably guess our top three. Johannes Lochner, we see him right there, taking it to the roof in Horseshoe, had some really big speed, solid looking run, and a great start, tied for the second fastest start. So those boys definitely have a chance to move up. As we look at the Latvians right now, Oscar's Kubimenis tied Lochner at the start and then beat him by about 1/10 of a second down the hill. The Latvian sled finding some really big speed and just a nice smooth looking run from them. And then, of course, leading the race. If you had to guess, you'd say Francesco Friedrich, and you would be right. With a quarter second on the field, fastest start time, fastest speeds, fastest downtime, and he is your leader, as usual, after the first heat.
Well, the Germans have won the last couple of races. Nico Walter last year, Hansi Lochner the year before. But just checking back in the records, actually astonished, the only time that Francesco Friedrich has won here was back in 2013 when he became the youngest ever two-man world champion at the age of just 22. Leads by, 22 hundredths from Oscar's Kubimenis. Hansi Lochner in third. Michael Vogt, the young Swiss, only one season driving in Europa Cup last year. Stunning run into fourth for him. Fifth and sixth, Maciej Lucia, Poland, and our Olympic silver medalist in the four-man, Yoon Jong-won of Korea. Rudy Rinaldi in seventh, Brad Hall of Great Britain in eighth. We've got some super tight battles coming up in our second heat. So the fastest 20 sleds go through, and there is the classic St. Moritz view of them in the sunshine up by the Dracula Start House. Air temperature now, look at that, 1 degree positive, and ice temperature +6. That's getting on for 15 degrees warmer than it's been at any stage during the training week. There is Dmitry Popov, the young Russian, put in a really good run as well in a tight battle between 6th and 11th. And the man they're all chasing down, Francesco Friedrich, hasn't had a win here in now 5 straight outings. Looking for some redemption here. Nico Walter pushing a sled for the first time in a couple of weeks since he tore his hamstring in Altenburg in a two-man race. And he is a long way down our order. But Yoonjin Suk of Korea will be first off. Maxim Andronov just making the second heat. Timo Rona, the second of our Russians. Ivan Linyuchev, then Justin Olsen, Nico Walter, Marcus Treichel, and the rest. Heading up into the top three. Lochner, Kubimenis, Friedrich, of whom Kubimenis has never had a medal in St. Moritz. Look at those pictures. Can you imagine anything more beautiful than this? And you're just looking at it. Try being here and then try riding a sled down. It's like a magic carpet. Yoonjin Suk of Korea, Kwon Young Kim, his brakeman, 20th in the first heat. First off in the second, Kim lifts the sled clear out of the back grooves as he's trying to get as much momentum at the start as possible. 5-2-0, Greg West. That's a little quicker than their first heat. Yeah, that's because the start area is speeding up.
Yeah, unfortunately, though, at a kink one, he was drifting it like a drift card, and it's all that speed is gone. I think we're having some technical difficulties with the speeds, but we're seeing right now is that is not going to build a lot of momentum through the flat part of the track.
Yeah, it's like a drag race. If you miss the shift from first to second, that's the equivalent there. It catches you up all the way down.
Definitely don't want a John Force style run here as he's going in the Horseshoe. Up near the woodwork, he decided to watch Friedrich and try it himself.
Looking for that slingshot effect down out of Horseshoe. 1:05.1. That's not bad speed. We'll see them up to 1:8. You know, in second heat, we might get into 1:10. 1:15.8. We saw 1:17s in the first heat. Has a little tap in these fast four left-handers.
Good speed at the bottom here. Was kind of setting the tone. He was 1:38 in the first heat. Matches at 1:38 again. He's guaranteed to be in the leader's box.
The super speedway of ice sliding, 1:07.85, but this is not restrictor plate racing. This is wide open all the way down here in St. Moritz, and Yoonjin Suk makes the field, and he has the lead. This is his second two-man World Cup start in his life.
I think he's going to be a little disappointed in that. Goes up and kisses the woodwork.
Nudged away.
Just says hi. Decent speed on the exit, 105.7. Look at it again. Yeah, definitely grazed it.
Great stuff from the guys in the truck. Well done, boys, on the slow motions. Now then, let's see what Maxim Anjanov of Russia can produce. He had a 4300s advantage over Suk from the first heat. Ilya Malik behind him.
First heat, they had a lot of trouble in kink 1. The sled was completely sideways, which was insult to injury on a slow push time. See if he can clean it up here. And I give it a B.
He's taking too much at kink 1, isn't he? You're trying skirting around on the flat without hitting it, but...
Well, if you watch the runner tips, you can see he actually drove himself into the wall there. He was fine. He's still up a half second, though, on the Korean guys. We'll see if he can handle it down the track.
He's got magnet in the wall there that drew the sled in, and that's the way it happens. Out of Sonny. Dropping down through Nash and right-handed through Dixon. There's the bump everybody has, Nash to Dixon. It's almost unavoidable unless your name's Francesco something. 8200s up, so good advantage over the Korean sled. 107.1, 2 kilometers an hour faster.
Nice looking bottom of the track, 118.1. Good speed, he's up a second. The question is not going to be if he's in the lead, it's how long he's going to be in the lead, as there's a pretty tight group back there.
This is a half-decent looking run from Anjanov. 143 at the bottom, maybe 144. What have we got? Across the line, he is the leader, 107.01. That's half a second quicker than his first heat. And the Koreans disappear from the leader's box as the Russians roll into the station. 1.27 seconds up on Yoonjin Suk.
I think that's the run he was looking for in the first heat.
Well, it remains to be seen how fast the track's got. 107.01 would have put him 12th in the first heat. That's exactly what Dominic Sushi did. But look, the bump there just sends the sled into a kind of reverse skid. It doesn't send you off 4 square.
Yeah, it's sending the energy perpendicular to the track versus down the track, and it is a big time killer.
Swiss cowbells and flags. Oh, hey, hang on a minute. Here's Timo Röner, son of Swiss bobsledding legend Marco Röner, with Etienne Fassler behind him. Röner with 3 years of sliding under his belt. Hugely ambitious. He says, if you're not aiming to win world championships and Olympic medals, then are you really actually giving it all?
We'll see what Röner can do here. They had they were the third sled off the first heat, which means they had all that frosty ice, but they had big speed. So we'll see if they can have a chance to move up here. He also gets all the kink 1. 5:24 matches the Russian start time. And a little bit down on speed, and that's just from how you went through kink 1, 55.5K.
You saw his coach, Wolfgang Stanford, yelling them off. Also, Rico Pater, who is coaching the Koreans, but is obviously a Swiss at heart still, or is still a Swiss. Little Rocky from Snake 1 to Snake 2, as we've seen from everybody. Out of Sonny, avoid the skid here, avoids the skid down into Nash, and then bump into Dixon, but comes off 4 square.
That was a better bump to take. He does a double tap going into horseshoe. He was 700s up. Now it's down to 2. So he's down a little bit on speed. 106. You're going to see him move into the red here. He needs a good bottom of the track if he wants to pass the Russian at home.
Yeah, he's going to lose a spot here unless he's very careful. He's a kilometre an hour down all the way through the forest. And as they come out of Sachs into the clear,
he's going to need 143.
Okay, only 200s behind, but a big hit there. That'll drop him possibly way back, 900s back. All right, so he did have speed at the bottom. Stanford there, a little disappointed that he didn't hold his spot over the Russian. 900s of a second is a tiny amount over 3 miles of ice.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure with that head bob right there, he wasn't saying something very polite, and that's always frustrating when you drop a spot. I mean, doesn't matter if you're in 19th and drop to 20th, or you're in 1st and drop to 2nd. You are mad. We see him exit Snake 1 there. A little flop comes out of Nash into Dixon and just straight up hits the wall. That's not a tap. He definitely hit it with both bunks. But this is what hurt him. Left, right, and then into horseshoe. That's 3 hits in about 200 feet, and it kills your speed.
Ivan Linuchev and Nikolai Nedolov. Nedolov starting his first two-man race in 2 years behind the young Russian, and they get skidding out of the grooves and way up the wall there. So any green numbers will disappear immediately.
Slowest speed we've seen on the start ramp, 55.1 Ks. That is not going to help their cause. The good news, though, is they had a little bit of a gap. They're up 900ths as they go into Snakes, but he does not have the momentum that his teammate had.
That little flop off Snake 1. He's got to be clean out of Sunny. If you have a skid breaking down this straightaway, as he does, you're early on to Nash. Now he sneaks out of Dixon.
Check the speed here as he takes it right up to the woodwork. He watched Friedrich. He's back 500s, but that's a good exit. 106.4, pretty decent speed from the other Russian sled.
But he's behind Anjanov, his teammate. You were right that Anjanov might move up significantly in this second heat.
Falling back at 10th now. He's going through the four rights. He needs to be perfect down here, and he's not. Comes out, brushes the wall. Big skid going in the Martin. No, that's not going to help. His speed is not even going to be 140.
No, he'll be third at the line behind Rona. So 107.46. He drops a couple of spots. It was quite tight at the tail end of the top 20. He drops behind Timo Rona. So in the end, although Rona lost a spot to Anjanov, Linuchev lost 2. Rona at least will be no worse than 18th.
We see him going up near the woodwork. I think we're going to see that from a few more sleds. They've seen that the height really helps, really dive bombing out of there. Pretty decent speed, but I think he worked a little too hard for it.
And the track is quicker as well, so actually carrying more speed into Horseshoe, that helps you get the height without artificially steering up. It's where the sled wants to go. World Championships 2021, 2 weeks in Lake Placid. Looking forward to that already. That's the logo on Justin Olsen's sled with Josh Williamson, the young addition to the US program. One of a number of new recruits this season. Williamson coming in from the very bobsleigh-orientated city of Orlando.
Yeah, the Florida boy's got some power, though. If you ever watch him do a squat workout, Josh has got horsepower. So does Olsen. They have a chance over the next 4 years to really grow as a pair.
5:18 start in the first heat. Olsen drops in and neatly out of the first kink, so 5:16 without too much speed lost.
All right, Justin, you've got a half second in the tank right now. He's got a lot better looking run through kink 1 and kink 2. The first run, you saw him working the runner tips all the way down there, just fighting to keep it straight. This run, nice and relaxed, letting the sled build some speed. He's in the green coming through the Snakes.
Well, the secret here, like driving a race car, is let the vehicle do the work. Guide it into the corner, let it figure it out on the way out. Nice out of Nash and Dixon. Here we go.
Early in his Horseshoe, he goes up near the woodwork, pulls it out though. He's up a half second, 4,500s as he goes through telephone, but down on speed, 105.9. He needs a good Devil's Dyke and a good nameless, and he has it, but he's falling back. 3/10 in the bank as he goes to the bottom.
All right, 117 is not great speed compared to the Russian sleds. Anjanov might come out on top here. The gap's coming down. Olsen was 3,400s ahead out of Sachs. Has he lost that third of a second at the line? No. 107.31, not as fast as his first trip. And a little worrying perhaps for the BMW sleds that they're not getting the high numbers at the bottom of the track despite what looked like a nice, neat drive.
Where's the first time seeing first?
Yeah, there you go. First time for everything.
Been there, Justin.
Yeah. And listen, you know, stepping out the sled, it's nice and sunny, but don't forget, those D-rings that the drivers are holding are kind of like -8, -10 degrees. That's like holding on to really, really cold ice.
Sometimes I think we should be interviewing the drivers as soon as they come out. Olsen taking it right up to the woodwork. I don't think he hit it. Dove out. The question is, though, in this softer ice in the afternoon, or as we approach noon, did he work too hard to get it?
Justin Olsen leader from Maxim Anjanov. 15 down, 5 down, 15 to go. 15th off the first of our 2 heats in St. Moritz in the two-man bob. Last year's winner, Nico Walter, running alongside the sled to help Marco Hubenbecker, his brakeman, but still with a major hamstring injury. 5:28 start. Well, that's 500s quicker than their first heat, so he clearly feels that he can just put a little effort in. Walter hasn't forgotten how to drive, but if you've got a V6 against V8 opposition at the start line, you're going to lose that race.
But he had the second fastest fastest start velocity, even with the push differential. That means he drove kink 1 and kink 2 incredibly well. So that is going to help his cause. Now, he is in the red right now, but can he drive it back? Big skid as he goes into horseshoe. That's going to hurt their speed on the exit. We'll check it here. He's back 0.08 of a second. 106.5. I thought he'd be closer to 107.
Yeah, you'll see the fastest sleds at 108, maybe even 109. 117.9, closing on the speed of the Russian Maxim Anjanov, who's quickest so far. Let's see what he does at the bottom. Does he let it fly with the two brushes? Yes, he does in Martineau. Clean exit through to Portago and in the lead. 106.95. That's a big run from Nico Walter.
Big run and big speed at the bottom. That's 2K on the field. That is the fastest sled of the day through the bottom at 142.
So is that the last race for Marco Hubenbecker? I know that we have a very final World Cup race coming up in a 4-man tomorrow from one of the German brakemen. Hubie waving goodbye. He said last year was going to be his last season. Maybe this is his last race weekend.
Little tap and a skid going into horseshoe. Still gets it straight. Pulls it out. Big speed late. But we'll see how many, if he has an opportunity to move up more than one spot. I'm going to go out on a limb and say that was it.
I think it might be. Well, going to miss the big fella. He's lost the Eddie the Eagle moustache this year that he grew for the beginning of the season, but big, big character. Next up, Markus Treichel of Austria. With Markus Gluck, they were 900s in front of Nico Walter from the first heat. Can they find enough to stay in the top 14?
5:17 start from the Austrian boys. That's better than the 5:20 there in the first heat. Nice, cool, calm, and collected down kink 2 and into wall. Green numbers up a quarter second as they go into snakes.
Nice, smooth run so far from Markus Treichel. Like everyone, little flop off snake 1. It's built pretty abrupt this year.
Holding steady at a quarter second up on the German sled. That big hit and a skid, though, that is going to kill momentum. Right up to the woodwork, pulls it out. He's down. The lead has been cut down by a 10th. 105.9. He's down on speed on the Germans. He needs a good bottom of the track to maintain.
117, the minimum that'll hold him in front. 117.5, stop the bleeding. A 10th of a second back on Nico, ahead of Nico Walter, but has he got enough speed at the bottom? Clip on the wall. Oh, it's going to be very close. I'm not sure he's got enough. Flop on the hit, that's it. Done deal. Surely Markus Treichel behind, yes. 107.15 for him, so he drops one spot to Nico Walter.
Extends Hubie's career by at least 2 minutes.
Yeah. Well, never a bad thing to see Marco Hubenbecker in the leader's box, but when you're pushing Nico Walter, you tend to be right at the end of the run most days.
Pretty solid run from the Austrians. I just think that the Germans really threw down. This killed him. Yeah. Knocked away and then skidding up into the corner. He's under G-force there, so it's pressing the runners down even more into the ice. And then out of Sachs comes out and clipping that left wall. Had pretty good speed at 141, but whenever you come out of Martineau and hit like that, it's really hard to hold on to the lead.
Markus Treichel in second. Nico Walter leads. 13 sleds to go. Next up in this tight group, covered by a 10th from 13th to Justin Olsen in tied for 15th. Cody Basque with Hakim Abdul-Sabur.
Let's see what these Americans can do. They're both a little bit under the weather, but Hakim the machine on the back. He has a personal vendetta against push handles.
I was talking to him about Sam Moritz after the first day of training, and he was just dying to get onto the sled and see what the track was like. Having looked at it from the outside, it did not disappoint. Oh, a little brush, but he allows it to come back straight. Cody Basque, 4,200s up.
Got to give Hakim credit with Cody. 5:09 start, much better start than the first heat. That puts him in the race here. That little tap, but I don't think it's going to hurt him that much. He's up a half second on the German sled right here. Can he be clean into Dixon?
Not bad, didn't get pushed away too hard. It's one of the better negotiations of Dixon we've seen so far. Good exit out of Horseshoe. Still 4,400s in front. 106.3, a kilometre an hour down on Anjanov.
A half second in the bank, so holding steady at 4/10. I think Cody's got a chance here to move up. Now there is the 2/10 warp zone hiding in Martineau, but he might pull away.
Good speed from Cody Basque, needs a good line, lets it wave a little. Martineau to Portago, tiniest of rubs. He's going to be the leader at the line. 1700s, 106.88, quarter second faster than his first heat.
I think Cody's gonna be pretty happy with that. It's been a rough week. Anytime you're sick and you're sliding, same risk to the place you don't want to be sick. It's so nice here. You just want to enjoy your week, and that's definitely an added stressor.
Well, plus you come out, you're ill. It's minus 25 out, and we're 2,000 meters above sea level, over 6,500 feet up in the mountains. You're short of breath anyway.
Cody taking it up near the woodwork. We see him pulling it out there. Nice looking line into telephone, letting the sled build some speed. Cody's got really soft hands. He's been driving forever.
Nice run. Cody Basque, the USA, the race leader. 8 down, 12 to go. Czech flags waving for Dominik Dvorak and Dominik Suchy. Dvorak, one of the younger drivers on tour. Started to really motor last year, and this year knocking it out on the park on a daily basis in 2-man and 4-man.
See, the Czech boys can do. They've had great starts all year. They pushed 5:12 in the first heat, a little bit of a skid, 5:08. So the boys are fired up. They're in the green by 0.05 of a second over the Americans. Let's see if he can go through kink 2 without that little skid that Cody had.
There was only 0.04 of a second between him and Cody Basque from the first heat. It's now 0.08 of a second, the blink of an eye.
A little rough there on the Exit Snake one. We're kind of used to that, though. He's pulled ahead, 1300s up, yanks it out of Sunny, though, but he's clean into Dixon where everybody else has been hitting. Good looking line in a horseshoe. Takes it up near the woodwork, pulls it out, 1500, so he maintains. We'll check the speed here.
3 top 6 runs this season in the 2-man, and a 13th and a 14th. And this looks like it's going from 13th and 14th towards the top 6. Good run from Dvorak.
1300s up, still in the green. Needs to be clean through Martineau. This is where the graveyard of time for this entire track comes out, clips left wall. I think he's going to hold on, though.
Yes, he should do. Nice run, 106.70. In the first heat, that was good enough for 5th fastest.
Yeah, solid looking run from the Czech boys. Good start, good drive. Can't be mad about that.
Nope. He found 0.29 of a second in the second trip, so tidying up a couple of errors and added by a slightly slicker track.
We see him here on the start ramp. They have a really good push time, but whenever you have an entrance into kink 1, like I think we're going to see here, they were really abrupt and lost a lot of momentum coming out of the exit curve. Just dips the head a little bit.
Yeah. Brakeman's already up, though, so that negated that aerodynamic. Look at those heads. That negated that aerodynamic effect for a fraction. But they have the lead with 11 to go. Roman Heinrich of France, again, like Dominik Dvorak, one of the big success stories in the 2-man this season. Only joined the World Cup post-Christmas. He's already had 3 top 6 runs in 3 starts, with Dorian Otaville, the sprinter from Lyon, originally from Guadeloupe, behind him.
Check the start time.
5:13, that's pretty decent.
Watch the sled accelerate here, 55.6, the 4th fastest push velocity. There is a trick to getting around kink 1. 300s in the hole, going through wall. If he's smooth through the snakes, where everybody else has struggled, he might be able to pull even before Sunny. Little rough on the transition, flops out of snake 2. It extends 400s in the hole.
European Championship bronze medalist in the race in Innsbruck, in Koenigsegg a couple of weeks ago.
Oh, there was a race in Koenigsegg?
There was a race in Koenigsegg. Not for you guys. Bobsleighers had a relatively snow-free day of it. Tied for the lead. And this is really the story of the season. Dvorak and Heinrich on the same stratospheric climb into the upper reaches of bobsledding this year.
I think Heinrich's got the upper hand today. Good speed. He's pulling away right now. We'll check it going through Martineau. He needs 140. He's going to be close, 139, but he doesn't take the hit other people took.
How far in the lead is he? 2100s. That's a big run from the Frenchman. Yeah, there's Max Robert on the back. He was once a brakeman. I know he's 5'2", but he was one of the quickest brakemen in the business. 106.59. And the fastest, that would have been 4th fastest in the first heat. So that's a huge run from Roman Heinrich.
See him coming through the snakes there, a little flop of a snake one, goes up and just misses the woodwork. I mean, that is close.
Très proche de la bois. Very nice. Good run from Roman Heinrich. 10 down, 10 to go. Exciting stuff here in St. Moritz. France, Czech Republic, USA, the top 3 with 10 sleds yet to go. Well, look at this. What a great sporting amphitheatre this is. You look at the pictures back from the early 1900s, and although the clothing is different, the track is the same. White walls, white scenery. Greg West, it just doesn't hurt to come here, does it?
No, I mean, if you ever have an opportunity to venture to St. Moritz, do it. Don't think about it.
Yeah.
Figure out a way to do it.
Yeah, bring money.
Yeah, with bringing a obnoxious amount.
More.
It's winter Monaco.
Yeah.
That's what this is. It is exactly to winter sports what Monaco is to auto racing, but it is, what do they say? The phrase champagne of thrills was coined right here over 100 years ago.
Absolutely right. So up the hill, Moritz Morogel, and on the... On the finish dock, there is Roman Heinrich, your race leader, with 10 sleds to go. And that could be a trip that puts him in single digits at the end. Bit of orange there from the Dutch fans, lots of yellow and black from the German fans, with team jackets on. And a chance to get a coffee, Glühwein, Bratwurst, whatever up at the top.
5 franc coffee?
Yeah.
For the 2-ounce pour?
Yeah, there you go.
No better place to drink it. Just make sure you bring your entire wallet.
Well, you're not paying for the coffee, you're paying for the view.
There you go.
There you go. And you know, we've had sunny blue skies every day apart from today where it's partially overcast. That's what you pay for when you come here. And like you said, you know, the parallels with Monaco are absolutely spot on. If you could have a place here for the winter and somewhere now nice, maybe Marin County, somewhere up on the coastline in Northern California for the summer, that wouldn't be too bad a life, would it?
You're going to need a couple of commas to go with that.
Yeah.
But
all right.
One of the goals in my career after it's all said and done is to come here and play a round of golf on the golf course that's underneath this track.
How nice would that be? Yeah, it's beautiful in the summer, but it is jaw-dropping in the winter. 10 sleds down, 10 to go. Race 6 of the BMW IBSF. Two-man bobsleigh World Cup, the final European encounter. And as we get into the action, Martin Haven, Greg West calling it trackside in sunny St. Moritz. Ivo de Bruin and Dennis Venker of the Netherlands. Ivo with one of his best runs of the season so far. Top 10 on the cards here if he can get another good trip down the ice.
We'll see what the Dutch boys can do on the start ramp. Ivo just working the runner tips a little bit to keep it off the left wall. Manages to do so. 5:18 start time for him. Betters the 5:20 from the first heat, but down a little bit on speed in that long crawl down the wall.
Roman Heinrich of France is the race leader with a storming second heat from the man who has barely been out of the top half dozen this season. Ivo, his career path has really started to climb this year. And a confidence-inspiring top 10 run here in St. Moritz would really help him. Nice smooth line down to Horseshoe, the signature corner here.
Takes it up near the woodwork, falling back a bit though. He's a quarter second back, 105.2, down a little bit on speed. He's gonna need a clean bottom of the track if he wants to overtake the Frenchman. 116.2, holding steady the quarter second back, so he stopped the bleeding. Can he pull it back? We know there's 2 tenths in Martineau.
Nice speed down the straight, little skid from Saxon to Martineau. Out from Portago, he's not going to catch Heinrich. 106.85 drops him 2 spots, 100th of a second behind Dominic Dvorak. But it's not beyond the bounds of possibility. He could still follow the leaders up the leaderboard.
And moving up the hard way, still moving up.
Yes, absolutely. It's not where you are at the line, it's where you are when everybody else has fought the mountain that makes the difference.
Watching Ivo go through kink 1 here. Watch the runner tips. He's moving them back and forth, trying to find the grip, and he does do it, but he had to work a little bit for it. Kink 1 is definitely difficult this season. Comes out of Gunter Sachs, just that little brush in the wall. Doesn't hurt him that much. Secures himself. It's still an opportunity for a top 10 here.
Yep, Roman Heinrich the leader. As we get to Russia's Dmitry Popov with Roman Koshelev. Koshelev celebrating his birthday here today.
These boys had a pretty good start in the first heat. 5:15, we'll see what they do here. Once again, gets all of kink 1, but speeds up 5:13. He's got a little bit of a lead on the Frenchman. He's got to be nice and calm all the way down to 1. Gets a thumbs up from the guys watching trackside. They approve. Up 600 as they go on the wall.
Yeah, don't breathe down those straightaways. And if you're the brakeman, I don't care how uncomfortable you are, do not move. Now you can start to wriggle yourself in.
300s, we got a race. He needs to be clean through Nash and Dixon, and he is. Can he pull the speed off in Horseshoe? That little tap, double tap going in. Up near the woodwork, we'll check the speed on the exit. He's falling back, 500s to the home.
Only his 3rd World Cup start, Dmitry Popov, only the 4th for the brakeman. And Popov has only raced on this track a couple of times. Little late flop there down in the forest is always going to cost you energy in the sled.
Frenchman looking to move up a little bit more. 1500ths of a second. There's a lot of Myers-Taylor checking the track out pre-race.
Yeah, got to see what the men are doing. So she's got clues of how today's track is racing. 3200s back. So Roman Heinrich moves up. Dvorak moves up. De Brown moves up. And Popov drops 4.
We have a lot of sleds right at this time.
Yeah, this is a tight group from 11th up to 7th, covered by 900ths of a second. Again, it's like a 10-pin bowling set. You get one, you get them all.
See him coming out of Nash and Dixon, clips that left wall, works it too much, comes back and clips the right wall, going into Horseshoe, takes it right up and touches the roof there. It looks gentle in slow-mo, but I can assure you from experience it gets your attention.
Oh, yeah?
Yeah.
I'll take your word for it. I don't need to try that myself.
Great pictures from the guys in the truck.
No kidding. Dmitry Popov left to think about that as Brad Hall gets ready for his run. 8th after the first heat.
Brad in the borrowed sled.
Yeah, borrowed sled from Benny Meyer, with which he produced a really good finish last weekend. 8th place, his best in a 2-man ever. Behind him, Nick Gleason. And any 100th that the man from 3 Power can produce for Brad Hall will help. They run it all the way to the first corner. Push bar is out. Bring it in when you get away from the wall now. 5:04. Great timing from Brad Hall and a big start.
Veteran move there to wait, not hit the roof or hit the wall like that was a sled did in the first heat.
Benny Meyer is a very different size from Brad Hall. He's a size 11 shoe, but the shoe he's using is an 8. He does not fit this sled. Nevertheless, he's pulling away from Roman Heinrich of France. 2900s up. First heat advantage was 700s over the Frenchman.
Great looking line down into Horseshoe and out. Holding steady at 2900s. That line's gonna help the 106.4.
Not bad speed, not the greatest. Let's see what he can do further on down the track.
2300s, 117.0. He just needs to be tidy here, and he'll hold on.
Decent speed. Frenchman has the lead. The Briton is coming.
Good speed, 140 through the bottom, pulls it off. Little tap on the wall through Martineau, but that's normal. He'll be your leader.
2400s in front, so he held on pretty much to the lead all the way down the track. 106.42. Lee Johnson and Peter Ramseidel are very happy with that. No worse than 8th. That will equal his career best 2-man drive. And there could still be more in the tank.
Yeah, nice run from Brad there. Put on a clinic. No major dramas. Big things. He came out of Sunny, didn't have to work it. Came out of Nash and Dixon, didn't have to work it. And here on the start ramp, got down, settled with cat-like movements. Choreography on ice.
Beautiful stuff.
Hey, John.
Great slow-mo pictures. All right, we are plundering the John Morgan call book, but they're bobsled phrases because they work. Okay, 7 to go. Last year, Monaco Bobsled Club celebrated its 30th anniversary. This is one of the best drives a Monegasque sled has had here in a long time. Let's see what Rudy Rinaldi can produce. 400s ahead of the Brits, but he drops back at the start.
5:09 start, though. Watch the speed, the second fastest velocity at the top, 56.1 Ks, and he's smooth from kink 1 to wall. So that means he's still in the race. 800s back, but you got a mile of ice left.
It was a really smooth first run. He was about halfway through the first heat, so he didn't have a huge speed advantage, but when he was on the ice, it was starting to pick up a little.
1300s back, smooth line through Dixon, though he's got to keep it off the wall, and he does a little early in the horseshoe, but he takes it up to the roof, pulls it out, but a little too early in the telephone, falling back 1600s.
President of the Bob Club is here in St. Moritz this weekend, His Serene Highness Prince Albert. And he'll be very impressed with Rudy Rinaldi. Rudy still in second place ahead of Roman Heinrich. The French and the Monegasques have been close friends, training partners and rivals for many, many years.
Good speed at the bottom, 141.
Going to be close at the line. It's going to be very close at the line. Oh, the rattle on the wall just undid them. There's Bruno Mijon, the coach. Brad Hall now on his best ever single two-man result. And Rudy Rinaldi, 1800s back, but ahead of Roman Heinrich. So Rinaldi again disappointed to lose a spot.
See him coming through snake 1 and snake 2. A little early into snake 2. And then up in the horseshoe. Doesn't take the woodwork line, but it gets pretty close to it. But you see, he hung it up late and really had to pull it off. And then coming out of Zeal, boom!
Yeah.
That's a big shot.
That's a big shot at that speed, 140 Ks, 82 miles an hour. Gonna feel that. Well, that stops you in your tracks, doesn't it? Your teeth carry on and your eyeballs, but the rest of you stops. 6 sleds to go here in the two-man bobsled race in St. Moritz. Martin Havard and US slider Greg West watching the action as our silver medalist in the 4-man from Pyeongchang is next up. Yoon Jung-won of Korea. He had a 1200s advantage over current leader Brad Hall of Great Britain. And a 5:13 gives away 700s of that before he even sits down. But great velocity out of the first corner.
Great velocities, developing story in this. Can Brad Hall overhaul the Korean and get his first podium ever, his first top 6? We'll let you know in about 1 minute.
Yep, first top 6 in the two-man. He's had 1 podium finish in a 4-man in North America.
Dead heat going through Nash and Dixon. The Korean needs to be good. Takes the hit, skidding up into Dixon. That is going to hurt. He's going to go red numbers on the exit.
But one had huge hyper speed at the bottom of the track. 107.4, fastest sled. Here we go.
I've been wrong once before. It's happened.
The Hyundai sled was absolutely motoring. 117.5. That's about where Brad Hall was. But the gap is 500s. And tap, no skid though. He holds it together. Does he get the hit on the wall? A little one. Does he get out of the finish curve clean? He does. 100th. 106.53. But again, although Brad Hall is out of the leader's box, he may still move up. Those two sleds, 100th of a second apart, effectively are 1. The chances of anybody beating Brad Hall and not beating Yoon Jung-won are very slender indeed. So 1 has the lead and guarantees himself a top 6.
See him coming into Dixon here, hits that left wall, pushes the sled away, nose up as the pressure hits, and then coming through the 4 rights to the bottom, takes that little clip on the wall. 100th of a second after almost 3 miles of ice.
5th here 2 years ago. This is nearly his best European result. Yoon Jung-won of Korea, the race leader from Brad Hall and Rudy Rinaldi. 15 down, 5 fastest sleds still to come. Into the top 5 in the World Cup bobsled race for two-man at the world's most glamorous and prestigious track. What a moment now for Poland's Mateusz Luty. 4th out of the start shed. He had some of the coldest, frostiest, stickiest ice. Can he cling on here? Got a lot of corner 1. Greg West, 5:09 start. 3rd fastest momentum. That might help.
Little skid there, but they overcome it with the speeds. But he needs to be perfect through here. He's got 400ths of a second advantage as he comes through wall. If he can get through snake 1 and snake 2 clean, he's got a chance, a little skid.
21st ever World Cup start in two-man as a driver. Tied for the lead, heading down into Nash and Dixon, and he gets a little rattle out of Dixon.
But he didn't skid. That helps his cause. Taking the low line through horseshoe, pulls it off smooth on the exit, but he's down 600ths.
Yeah, got a little bit more of telephone than he wants. 105.4, 2 Ks down on Yoon Jung-won of Korea.
He's down, sitting in 3rd right now, but 117 speed.
Fantastic first heat, but the sled not quite where he wants it now. Let's see what he's got down the bottom. Only 900s behind. Going to be close, but he's rattled the wall, and I don't think he gets there. He doesn't. 500ths of a second in it.
And Brad Hall just got his first ever top 6.
And Matches Luthi in 3rd place with 4 to go. 7th place, that equals his best ever 2-man result, which was a couple of weeks ago in Koenigsegg. And he may move up as well. Top 3 covered by 500s. Again, treat them as one sled.
We see him here loading into the sled. If we get a shot of kink 1 and going into Dixon, that little hit on the wall.
500ths of a second we're talking. Every one of these is worth more than 500s. So close, Mateusz, but that still equals his best ever run. Now then, big story coming up here. Michael Vogt of Switzerland. He's done 3 World Cup races up to now in the 2-man. He started sliding last year in Europa Cup. This kid can drive. Can he hold on here and put a second great run in, though?
5:12 in the first heat, 5:09 in the second. They're up 1,300s. A little skid on the exit of kink 1. We'll check the velocity, 56 even. 5th fastest velocity as they went through kink 2. He's got green numbers as he goes to wall. Can the Swiss guys find the speed and move up to medal here at home?
Bet Hefty won here 3 years ago in 2-man and 5 years ago. Previous to that, the last Swiss win was back in the early noughties.
1,400s up as he goes through horseshoe, takes it up near the woodwork, pulls it out smooth in a telephone. 1,300 still, 107.7, good speed.
2nd year of driving a sled. I can't overemphasize how calm and collected this guy is. He was the only man to crash in training. That was the very first sled on the ice on Tuesday. And look at this, a little skid. He is going to take the lead away from Yun Jong-won. Yun Jong-won with 40 World Cup starts. This is the 4th for Michael Vogt. No wonder his coaches love him. 106.45, that's nearly 2/10 better than his first heat, and that puts pressure on the top 3.
Yeah, big run from the Swiss guys. They're going to be pumped with that. No worse than 4th today. And if you're Johannes Lochner, he has your full attention right now. Up near the woodwork, that's the line. You don't hit the wood, you get right near it, just scare it a bit.
And look at the nose of the sled. All the grey marks are where he rolled from Nash and Dixon all the way down a mile of ice. And they're both still very sore and a bit burned from that. Switzerland lead, 3 to go. Can a rookie Swiss driver take a medal away from the winner 2 years ago? Hansi Lochner won here in St. Moritz 2 seasons ago with today's brakeman, Christian Rasp. And Rasp is in because of this, the speed at the first kink. 5:02, what a start.
Big push, big push. 56.6, fastest velocity of the day. And that is gonna help them as they go through the flat section. They're up a 1/4 second as they go through wall. And I very rarely see a German sled lose that much time down the track.
Lochner is a 4-man specialist. Altenburg, his favorite track, is where he crashed in the 2-man.
Up 3/10, takes the tap on the wall, a little rough on the exit, another tap going into horseshoe.
Giving the woodwork a fright and a beautiful landing out of horseshoe. 3,500s up, 106.4. Good, but not exceptional, but he's easing away from Michael Vogt, the winner 2 years ago.
3,100s up. I don't think there's enough track for him to lose it. I think Vogt's going to hold steady in that 4th spot. Lochner's going to get a medal. 142 speed at the bottom is going to help his cause. He will be your leader.
New track record, 106.14. 4,100s quicker than his first heat. And he was only 3,100s off Francesco Friedrich. So that tells us that Friedrich needs a new track record to win the race.
Absolutely, and that's for the Latvian and the German. Keep a menace and Friedrich coming up. That's a number that gets your attention. See him coming into Dixon, takes that hit. Look at all of the spray. Little skid going up, which the question is, how much speed does this track have? That run was far from perfect, but he did generate big speed at the bottom.
Well, Lochner, the winner 2 years ago. Walter, the winner 1 year ago. Francesco Friedrich hasn't won here since 2013 World Championships. And this man, Oskars Kibermanis, has never had a medal on this track. Today, surely that will change. Seconding World Cup points. Silver, silver, bronze, fifth bronze this year. Again, Martis Miknis lifts the back handles out. They're going to have to work on that technique to get even more to show Friedrich. 5:02.
Big start from them as well. We'll check the speed. They're down a little bit. 56.3, the second fastest start velocity. And that long crawl down the wall. He's got 500s over the German as he drops into the snakes.
He had 900s from the first heat. He tied at the start. Little Rocky out of snake 1 into snake 2.
600s down. We got a race.
Don't forget the big numbers that the Latvian sleds habitually get at the bottom of the track in the speed gun.
Check him out, a horseshoe here, takes it right up to the woodwork, pulls out 1300s in the hole. It is not looking good, but he has 107 4-speed, faster speed than the Germans.
Latvian winner 4 years ago, Oskars Melbardis with Dalman's Skins.
1/10 at 118.8, faster speed, he's reeling him in. Is there enough track?
Oh, there is enough track, but can he be clean enough? Little tap, brush on the wall. Gap was a 10th out of Sachs, 142, 143. Now he's going to be behind, he is behind, 106.34. So Hansi Lochner, the winner 2 years ago, no worse than silver. And Kibermanis will claim his first ever St. Moritz two-man medal.
It's another fun thing.
Another podium finish for Kibermanis, once off the podium this year.
Doesn't matter whether you medal, when you drop a spot, it just makes you mad. We're seeing him coming through the bottom of the track here, coming out of Sachs. Just that little tap on the wall. That's not where it went away, but it didn't help.
Well, Lochner bronze last year, gold the year before, is the leader with 1 to go. Kibermanis in second. The 1 to go has been unbeatable this year. The last race that anyone was ahead of Francesco Friedrich was St. Moritz last January with Alex Schuler. They won the season opener in Sigulda, and Friedrich has forgotten how to not win.
Comes out and
497, new start record.
56.5 though, he's down on speed with that hit.
He's going to need a new track record to win this one. He was 3,100 top on Johannes Lochner, and Lochner went 4,100s quicker on his second heat. But look at the margin, 4,200s up already. 43, he is creeping away. I said a couple of weeks ago that he is becoming the Michael Schumacher of bobsledding. Valentino Rossi, another legend of motorsport, exactly the same, just got out of the habit of not winning, and Friedrich lays down a masterclass.
Now this one's over. 4/10 up as he's going through the bottom of the track. And this is where he says, see ya. The question is, can he go 143?
Let's take a look. Is this going to be a start record and a finish record run? Francesco Friedrich will win with a new track record, 1:06.05. Another crushing performance. That's 6 straight this year. That is one entire season, including the Olympic Games, unbeaten. More than 12 calendar months for Francesco Friedrich as the benchmark, and it is hard to see where that stops. Justin Cripps in the world in Whistler, maybe, but right now, he couldn't be better than evens, even on home ice against Friedrich.
Now, Friedrich putting on a clinic everywhere, and he's been doing so for an entire year now. I mean, that's when you said the last time he lost was. But there was nobody better today. At the top of the track, at the middle of the track, at the bottom of the track, nobody even in the ballpark, pulling away by 4/10, which in bobsled is basically a country mile.
Friedrich's only win here in the senior level was the World Championships in 2013. Then he was 22. That was the first of his 5 two-man gold medals in the World Championships. And now he adds a second victory. Last year silver, the year before silver, and then bronze in 2013-14 after his World Championship victory. He was disqualified in his first ever World Cup race in St. Moritz. That is unlikely to happen today. And again, Alexander Schuler, who won the season opener with him in Sigulda, like every other brakeman this year, is on the back of a gold medal winning sled with Francesco Friedrich at the front. Hansi Lochner in second, Oscar's Kieberman is third. Huge result for Mikael Vogt in fourth. Career high for him and for Brad Hall with sixth, and for Matthias Luthi with seventh, and for Rudy Rinaldi with eighth. And Ivo de Bruin just outside the top 10. Those are the rest of our finishers. So fantastic stuff from Francesco Friedrich. Dominated the first heat and knocked it out of the ballpark in the second. And again, the view is just exceptional. If the racing wasn't quite so riveting, you could spend a lot of time looking up at the mountains and the clouds around us. Busy up at the Gunter Sachs Lodge, named after Gunter Sachs, the German industrialist and playboy who was a member of the Bobsled Club and built the Dracula Club and built the lodge at the top of the track. And the Gunter Sachs curve, the final one of the four fast right-handers named after him. History at every turn here. The club started in 1897 and still going strong.
Always wanted the corner named after me, but you either have to do something really good or really bad to have that happen.
Yeah, really good normally, although yeah, Benish turn in...
Benish, that's what I was thinking of.
Well, you know, okay.
Turn one in Altenburg, Matthias Benish binned it in turn one, and that next thing you know, it's named after you.
Yeah. Nobody crashes in turn one, especially not a hometown boy. Oh, yeah. Benny now the track manager, but he has a corner named after him. So there is your silver medal duo. Bronze medal duo, Oskars Kiebermanis and Martis Miknis. Kiebermanis taking his first medal here. Last time a Latvian medal was won. In fact, it was a 1-2. Oskars Melbardis got gold, and Uge Zalims tied for silver with, predictably enough here in St. Moritz, Beat Hefti, just before he tipped over the edge into making up the numbers. Well, they're up at Moatis Maragall. You can only access that either by helicopter from the top or by funicular railway from the bottom. Little hotel there. Last funicular goes down this time of year at about 4:15, so it's a long night at the top. But a beautiful view high in the Swiss Alps, 2,500 meters above sea level. Race 6 of the BMW IBSF two-man bobsleigh World Cup. That's what a perfect score looks like. 6 races equals 1,350 points for Francesco Friedrich, who's unbeaten still this year. Oskars Kiebermanis, the bronze medalist, here in second. Dominik Dvorak, third in the World Cup standings. A one-sled team from the Czech Republic, third in the World Cup standings. What a season he is having, and a fantastic battle of some of the young drivers all the way through the order in our World Cup standings. Greg West, Francesco Friedrich, if we'd talked about it before we came for training, and certainly after we came for training, was always going to be the favourite here, despite having gone 5 years without claiming a gold medal.
Well, if you have the fastest sled at the top, and you have the fastest sled in the middle, and you have the fastest sled at the bottom, you're probably going to win. And he just did that. Nobody did anything better than he did today, and that's why he wins by a monstrous 0.4 of a second.
But he is like Schumacher, you know, the sled is not that different of Hansi Lochner, but whatever it is about it, Friedrich can do special things. There's your bronze medalists from Latvia. The silver medalists on the left from Germany, and the magnum of Cordon Rouge goes to Francesco Friedrich and Alexander Schuler. Friedrich, the 2013 world champion, his first and so far only gold medal on this track until today. He wins again, and he will be the favourite for tomorrow's 4-man race. Well, that's it for the 2-man, and from Europe for the 2-man competition. Next time out, we'll be racing in the Adirondack Mountains in Lake Placid. Can't wait for that. Thanks to Greg West again for sitting alongside. We'll be back with more action from the women. 13:20 local, 12:20 GMT. We'll see you then from sunny St. Moritz. Bye for now.